Brother Xiaoyan, this matter is extremely important to the future of my Taishu Gulong clan. I also ask Brother Xiaoyan to do his best to help. Elder Zhanli, rest assured that Ziyan is my friend, and I will do my best to help. Hearing Xiaoyan's words, the smile on Elder Zhanli's face also increased. Xiaoyan stared at Ziyan, who was sealed by the dragon and phoenix crystal layer. Her state of mind gradually calmed down. As his sleeve robe waved, a wisp of purple-brown mixed with forest-white pillars of fire turned into monstrous flames, and within a few breaths, a huge fire dragon was formed. As soon as the fire dragon took shape, it raised its head to the sky and let out a roar, a thunderous dragon chant, shaking the dragon phoenix crystal layer non-stop. Xiaoyan's handprint quietly changed, and a clear shout came from his mouth, refining. The cheers fell, and the huge fire dragon suddenly flew out, and then in the midst of many nervous gazes, it rushed towards Ziyan, who was asleep with her eyes closed, but just as it was about to hit the latter's body, the huge body twisted quickly, winding and entrenched to wrap Ziyan all over. At the same time, the temperature of the Longwang crystal layer suddenly rose to a terrible point. When the temperature here rose, streamers of light also leaped from all parts of Dragon Island, and then stopped solemnly in the sky around the mountain peaks, awesomely a member of the Taishu ancient dragon clan. Xiaoyan didn't have time to pay attention to the onlookers in the surrounding world. At this moment, he has gathered all his thoughts in the dragon phoenix crystal layer, and the soul power at the center of his eyebrows has surged out like a tide, firmly controlling the temperature of the flame. Although the blazing flames cut off the line of sight, the powerful people such as Elder Candlely still included the scene of the crystal layer in their minds. That I saw the blazing pillars of fire, constantly spewed out by the winding and entrenched fire dragons, entangled in Ziyan's body, under such a terrifying temperature erosion. The dragon and phoenix crystal layer covered by Ziyan's body also began to emit a faint strange light, which flowed like a liquid, diffusing a terrifying energy. However, even so, the dragon and phoenix crystal layer still showed no signs of melting. Xiaoyan didn't panic at all. After all, if the dragon phoenix crystal layer could be refined so easily, Elder Zhanli would not invite him. At this moment, an old voice slowly sounded, "Candlely, do you really think he can refine the dragon and phoenix crystal layer?" Candlely heard the sound, turned his head slightly, and saw an old man with black and white hair standing in the air. Zhanli turned his gaze to Xiaoyan in front of the giant tripod, and said slowly, "He can become the champion of the Danhui. Naturally he is extraordinary, although he is young. The contact between the past 2 days has made me see that this son has old experience and a resolute personality, which is extraordinary." Hearing this, the black and white-haired old man whispered, "Ziyan is the only person of the Taishu Gulong clan who has a complete royal bloodline. If she makes a mistake, the road to the unification of our clan may be impossible. Elder Qiyu doesn't have to worry too much." On the mainland, although Xiaoyan is not the only one with the top 10 alien fires, our current situation is not suitable for turning to others for help. Zhanli shook her head and said softly, "Ziyan specifically mentioned asking Xiaoyan to take action before she was unconscious. Although she is young, she will not joke about her life. Since she said that, she must have great confidence in Xiaoyan." He nodded silently again, glanced at Xiaoyan deeply, then moved his figure and slowly disappeared. At the giant pinnacle of the crater, Xiaoyan seemed to hear the dialogue between the candles, his eyes shook, and a scorching breath spewed out along the fire, "Ning." As this gentle syllable came out, the fire dragon in the giant tripod seemed to be summoned, and his body trembled violently. Everyone was surprised to find that the original purple-brown color of the fire dragon with forest white was gradually changing to a strange dark purple. After a while, the fire dragon's body shrank significantly, but the temperature in his body suddenly skyrocketed. The terrible high temperature caused the faces of some people of the Taishu ancient dragon clan to change color slightly. The dark purple flame spewed continuously from the giant mouth of the fire dragon, fiercely sticking to the dragon and phoenix crystal layer on Ziyan's body. At the moment of contact between the two, bursts of scoffing suddenly broke out, and under this fierce collision, the extremely strong energy crystal layer finally quietly appeared under the gaze of countless surprises. A drop of purple gold liquid. The fusion crystal layer is melting. Although the liquid was extremely small, it had never escaped the eyes of many powerful people, and the sound of surprises sounded suppressed at the moment. Candle also breathed a sigh of relief quietly at this moment, and the clenched fists in his hands slowly relaxed. Although this is only the first step, it has at least been shown that Xiaoyan's strange fire can indeed melt the dragon and phoenix crystal layer. If you just stick to it, the dragon and phoenix crystal layer will completely melt sooner or later. With the continuous refining and chemical progress, a month's time disappeared quickly like quicksand at the fingertips. During this period, all the people of the Taishu ancient dragon clan could clearly see that the dragon and phoenix crystal layer on Ziyan's body was getting thinner and thinner, until it finally completely dissipated. The emergence of this change also filled Gulong Island with an atmosphere of joy. At this rate, I am afraid that it will not be long before the dragon and phoenix crystal layer in Ziyan's body will be completely refined, and by then, the world of Warcraft will once again give birth to an existence with true royal blood. In front of the giant tripod, a disheveled figure sat cross-legged, his bloodshot eyes filled with exhaustion and a palpitating toughness. Around the mountain peak, beams of respectful gaze were projected on the thin figure. For a full month, Xiaoyan conquered these naturally proud Taishu Gulong people with shocking persistence. Zhanli looked at the figure who hadn't slept for a month, and sighed softly. This son will have great achievements in the future, and it is not impossible for the Shao clan to return to glory. Shao Xian, blessed is your Shao family. However, as soon as his voice fell, a thunderous roar suddenly sounded in the void space. Xiao, you are so courageous, how dare you trespass on my Donglong Island? Zhanli's face changed instantly, and he slowly looked up at the void space outside. Are you still here? In the dark and silent void, beams of streamers suddenly appeared, and after a while, those streamers slowly stopped outside Gulong Island. The light dissipated, and a powerful figure appeared. Most of these people were wearing dark golden armor embroidered with dragon patterns. When the dragon patterns swam, like living things, a vast dragon power filled them. In addition, there are a group of naked figures. They are exceptionally strong, giving people a very powerful sense of visual impact. It's from Shilong Island and Nanlong Island. There was a burst of angry shouts on the island. Xiao, how dare you lead someone to trespass on my Donglong Island? You are very courageous. The sky and space were slowly distorted, and figures appeared one by one. The leading old man was the elder Qiyu who was talking to Zhanli that day. Old man Qiyu, don't get angry. I'm just here on orders. I want to invite adults with royal blood to Shilong Island. A big man with thick eyebrows dressed in dark golden armor outside the void laughed. Hearing this, Qiyu shouted coldly, I'm afraid it's the Shilong king who wants to put the royal blood under house arrest on Shilong Island. He is just a side branch of the royal family, but he dares to call himself the Dragon King. I'm really not afraid to compromise myself. After hearing this, Xiao said lightly, Gulong Island is divided into 4. I, King Shilong, have the blood of the royal family and have a stronger appeal, and you, Donglong Island, have no royal bloodline, and you shouldn't exist at all. Gio responded, my Taishu Gulong clan, only Lord Dragon Emperor, Donglong Island should not exist, you are not qualified to judge. Xiao heard the sound and curled his lips and said, I don't bother to talk nonsense with you, the lord who handed over the blood of the royal family, otherwise I won't be able to do good today. It's up to you. Qiyu's expression was slightly cold, and with the palm of his hand, the terrible energy quickly condensed. Seeing that Qiyu was ready to do something, Xiao waved his hand, and the figures in the dark golden dragon armor behind him stepped out in one step, and the powerful coercion condensed together and spread towards Long Island. At the same time, Elder Zhanli in the depths of Long Island looked gloomy, glanced at Xiaoyan, and said solemnly, you protect Xiaoyan well, and you must not let him have an accident. The sound of candlelight fell, and a low shout immediately came from the surrounding mountain peaks, yes. Upon seeing this, Zhanli nodded slowly, and as soon as his figure moved, he disappeared strangely. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Qiyu. He raised his head, his gaze swept flatly across the void, many floating figures, and said softly, the Dragon Armor Army of Shilong Island, the Barbarian Dragon Army of Nanlong Island, the 2 elites are all out. I wonder who leads the barbarian dragon army. It's worthy of Elder Zhanli. The old man hid aside, but you discovered it. As soon as the voice fell, the dark void space slowly distorted, and an old man in a simple leather jacket appeared out of thin air. Zhanli glanced at the old man and said faintly, "It turned out to be Elder Man Yen." Man Yen looked at Zhanli and said in a deep voice, "Elder Zhanli, hand over the people, the ancient dragon clan is already like this, and it is even more difficult to unify, and the 3 dragon kings will not allow it." At this moment, a figure suddenly swept into the sky and shouted, "Make a fart, really treat me as a bully on Donglong Island? If it weren't for the retreat of the eldest elder and the second elder, how dare you be arrogant?" Xia Ao responded, "Hey Qing, you still have this bad temper." Then, turning his gaze to Man Yen, he shouted in a low voice, "We don't have time to waste, let's do it." As the words fell, the dark golden dragon armor on Xia Ao's body burst out with brilliant golden light, and a monstrous aura swept out of his body like a storm. Xia Ao waved his hand abruptly and shouted angrily, "Dragon Armor Army, do it and bring back the adults of the royal bloodline." The soldiers of the Dragon Armor Army behind them shouted fiercely, "Yes." The fierce aura spewed out, turned into a stream of light, and rushed towards Donglong Island. Seeing this, it is inevitable that there will be sighs, "Do it." Listening to his order, the naked figures nodded heavily, their fists clenched, their arms squirmed quickly, and in a short while, their arms turned into dragon claws covered with lavender scales, then, their stature flashed and they rushed to Donglong Island. Upon seeing this, Elder Zhanli shouted, "Stop them." The cheers fell, and vague figures rushed out of Donglong Island. For a while, the vast and powerful aura immediately filled the entire sky, the dull sound of the physical collision, the loud noise of the monstrous explosion, echoed endlessly with the heavens and the earth. After He Qin punched a barbarian dragon king, when he was about to rush forward again, Zhu Li's figure suddenly appeared and said in a deep voice, "He Qin, you go to protect Xiao Yan, and leave it to us here." Hearing that he was about to leave the battlefield, He Qin was a little reluctant, but he also understood the importance of Xiao Yan. At the moment, he could only grit his teeth, his figure retreated violently, and in a few flashes, he rushed into the depths of Donglong Island. Candlely, at this moment, a soft laugh came slowly, "Candlely, let the old man be your opponent." Ling Zhanli's gaze was fixed on the void in front of him, and the figure of Man Yen slowly emerged, dark purple dragon scales began to spread all over his body, and his arms gradually turned into sharp dragon claws. In the blink of an eye, Man Yen had become a half-dragon, with a dragon body, dragon claws, and dragon arms. The moment Man Yen completed his transformation, an extremely fierce aura filled out of his body, distorting the surrounding space that he smiled at Zhanli and said, "I haven't seen you for many years. I wonder if you have broken through Dozuan now." The unspeakable soles of his feet stepped out lightly, and the space suddenly rippled. His figure instantly appeared in front of the candle like a ghost, and the terrifying energy suddenly filled with the wave of the dragon's claws. When Man Yen and Candle were fighting together, the entire Gulong Island, also at this moment, broke out with an earth-shattering explosion. A battle circle appeared in the sky of Dragon Island everywhere, and the original peaceful and quiet atmosphere had long since disappeared, only the depths of Dragon Island still maintained a trace of peace. The crater is still filled with terrifying temperature. In the giant tripod, Ziyan's body, which was originally filled with hardness, is gradually returning to softness, and she can faintly feel that a kind of ocean-like endless terrifying energy is flowing in her body. He Qin looked at the giant tripod solemnly, and suddenly, a burst of wind sounded, causing his expression to change slightly. Turning his head, he saw more than a dozen fierce and abnormal figures, coming like lightning. Looking at the guys who broke in, He Qin shouted coldly, "Stop them, don't disturb Xiao Yan." As soon as the sound of his cheers fell, figures quickly swept out of the surrounding mountains, intercepting those guys. Although the visitor was stopped, He Qin's expression was still gloomy. He understood that since the 2 southwest islands had received the news, Bailong Island would definitely not sit idly by. Nowadays, the power in the island is already quite difficult to resist the attacks of these 2 islands. If Bailong Island is also plugged in, it will be really dangerous. He Qing clenched his fists and murmured, "Xiao Yan, hurry up." Regarding this chaotic situation in the outside world, Xiao Yan, who was sitting cross-legged in front of the giant tripod, seemed to have not heard of it. His bloodshot eyes stared at the giant tripod, his palms stiff, bearing marks, firmly controlling the temperature in the tripod. After more than a month of sleepless nights, and such a terrifying workload was required, this was enough to make any Dozuan strong man exhausted and collapsed, but Xiao Yan persisted. He Qing looked at the disheveled Xiao Yan and said to himself, "This guy is really cruel to himself. After this matter is resolved, my old black will worship with you, and I will hit whoever you refer to." He, who was rebellious, now had to be impressed by Xiao Yan's toughness. However, at this moment, there was a loud noise in the distance, and immediately a fierce aura swept over. Immediately afterwards, a rampant laughter sounded like thunder. It turned out to be here. The next moment, the figure appeared around the crater in a few flashes, and then slowly lowered its figure. When everyone looked at it, it turned out that this was a man dressed in dark gold armor. His eyebrows were golden, and his face was filled with a touch of ferocity. Seeing the visitor, He Qing said softly, "The fourth commander of the Dragon Armor Army, Xia Sha." As the words fell, with a wave of his palm, more than a dozen figures flashed out of the surrounding mountains and forests, watching the man known as Xia Sha vigilantly. "He Qing, I didn't expect to meet you here." Xia Sha narrowed his eyes slightly, without too much nonsense, and waved his palm lightly, and many murderous figures swept out behind him, with a low long-way roar resounding. Upon seeing this, He Qing's expression slowly sank, and after nodding slightly, more than a dozen strong men from Donglong Island also quickly swept out, intercepting all those wearing dark golden dragon armor. Xia Sha laughed and said, "He Qing, obediently hand over that adult, otherwise Donglong Island will flow into a river of blood. If you want to grab someone, it depends on whether you have such qualifications." He Qing let out a deep sigh, shook his palm abruptly, and blasted out with a direct punch. A dark crack suddenly burst out of the space, and it quickly extended towards Xia Sha. That Xia Sha snorted coldly, and also blasted out a fierce punch, colliding with the dark cracks that spread. In an instant, the powerful ripples of energy suddenly spread. Xia Sha's body trembled slightly, then quickly stabilized, and then the soles of his feet stepped into the void. His figure appeared beside He Qing like a ghost, and the fierce offensive was overwhelming. Facing such an onslaught, He Qing sneered lightly at the corner of his mouth, and instead of retreating, he directly confronted him head-on. In the sky, the two figures scuffled together, and every time they attacked, they would cause a low sonic boom in the surrounding air. This only peaceful place also became turbulent with the start of the fight between the two of them. Regarding these, Xiao Yan, who was sitting in front of the giant tripod, still didn't move at all. At this moment, another soft laugh came from the void space. "Candle, stop making unnecessary resistance, and hand over the people." As soon as the laughter fell, Zhang Li's expression instantly became ugly. He stared at the void tightly, and said solemnly, "Beilong Island has finally appeared." I saw a touch of green light suddenly lit up in the void space, and then the green light quickly zoomed in, and a series of figures appeared over Long Island wrapped in a monstrous breath. Just in the sky, an old man in a cyan robe glanced at the chaotic Gulong Island and said with a chuckle, "It seems that it's still late, but fortunately I didn't miss it." Green boredom. Upon seeing this, Zhang Li's expression was completely gloomy. The handwriting of these three dragon kings is really not small, and they actually send a half-saint and two fighting gods to the peak. It seems that for Ziyan, they are bound to win. Qing Wei glanced at the gloomy candlelight, then looked into the depths of Long Island, and said softly, "Elder Man Yan, candlelight will be stopped by you, and the lord who has the blood of the royal family will be taken away by the old man himself." As the words fell, his figure moved, turning into a stream of light and swept towards the depths of Dragon Island. When Zhu Li saw this, he was furious. However, before he could go to stop him, Man Yan instantly stood in front of him, brandishing his dragon claws, directly penetrating the void, and storming towards Candle Li. Blocked by Man Yan, Zhang Li was furious, his vindictive spirit gushing out, and he fought with the former again. At the same time, The old man named Qing Wei also appeared around the crater in just a few breaths that he glanced at Xiao Yan, who was sitting cross-legged in front of the giant tripod. His eyes immediately stopped in the giant tripod, his brows frowned, and he said with difficulty, "This is the lord who has the blood of the royal family." It's still early childhood, but the pressure of the bloodline has begun to show signs, and people have to be taken away first to avoid changes. Thoughts flashed, and Qing Wei stopped procrastinating. As soon as he made a move, a figure appeared not far in front of him, and it was the venerable Iron Sword. At this moment, His Holiness the Iron Sword was expressionless, holding a big sword in his hand, staring at Qing Wei. A smell of indifference permeated. Blocked by His Holiness the Iron Sword, Qing angrily shouted, looking for death. With his strength at the peak of fighting respect, he naturally won't put the iron sword in his eyes. At the moment, with a wave of his sleeve robe, an energy storm suddenly appeared, and then swept away like lightning. In this regard, His Holiness the Iron Sword seemed to have never seen it. He raised the iron sword above his head, and then looked down at nothing under the skin like this, and slashed it off with a sword. The face of His Holiness the Iron Sword paled instantly, as if all the vindictiveness in his body had passed away with the sword. At the same time, a sword shadow the size of a slap burst out with a snort, and collided heavily with the storm. The two collided, and a terrible ripple of energy suddenly swept out. The venerable Iron Sword, who was already with a sluggish look, spewed out a mouthful of blood under this anti-shock force, and his body fell into the forest below as if he had been hit hard. Defeating the Iron Sword casually, a sneer appeared at the corner of Qing Wei's mouth. "I'm really looking for death, and I dare to show up with this kind of strength." He stepped on the void and walked towards Xiao Yan step by step, his indifferent voice resounding through the sky, "Boy, stop your flame." The disheveled Xiao Yan seemed to have not heard of it. His blood-stained eyes stared at the giant tripod. Qing Wei sneered, "Another one is looking for death." The footsteps slowly stopped beside Xiao Yan, his palms raised, his vindictive energy surged, and he mercilessly photographed Xiao Yan Tianlingai. At the moment Qing Wei's palm blasted out, the girl in the giant tripod, her closed eyes suddenly opened, and a cold sound containing infinite coercion exploded in the depths of Qing Wei's soul like thunder, causing her movements to suddenly solidify. "If he hurts a hair, you will pay for it with your life today." The cold sound of drinking rang through Qing Wei's ears, although it was not very loud and clear, but it made his soul tremble violently. In that shout, there was a blood pressure that he couldn't resist. Qing Wei's face was pale, Desheng's royal bloodline. He suddenly paused with the palm of his hand patted on Xiao Yantian's lingai, then his toes were a little void, he snorted, and suddenly retreated violently. At the same time, a purple gold iron chain burst out of the giant tripod, pierced through the void, and exploded on Qing Wei's body in the blink of an eye. The terrible strong wind burst open, Qing Wei spouted a large mouthful of blood, and his body flew out in embarrassment. When the green dragon was shaken to the sky, Xia Sha, who was fighting He Qing around the crater, and many other strong men all changed their expressions, hurriedly raised their heads, and turned their eyes to the flame-filled giant tripod. I saw a shadow looming there, and they clearly felt that the blood in their bodies was faintly boiling, and a strong coercion lay in their hearts, giving them an urge to kneel down. Impulse. He Qing's tone was full of excitement and said, "The real royal bloodline has completely awakened." Under the gaze of countless people, the raging flames in the giant tripod slowly extinguished, and then a slender shadow slowly appeared in everyone's eyes. The woman who appeared was dressed in a purple gold skirt and robe, on which the dragon and phoenix danced, revealing an indescribable dignity like a living thing. The long purple hair swept down like a waterfall, spreading over Ying's small waist. The woman's appearance is extremely beautiful, and a pair of purple gold eyes look so mysterious and flirtatious. Under the gaze of these Ziyan eyes, it seemed that even the sky and the earth were about to succumb to it. Today's Ziyan is no longer what she was when she was a little girl, but has completely become a beautiful woman who loves the country and the city. One by one, he first lost his mind for Ziyan's noble aura, and then his gaze condensed behind him. The long purple and gold wings were flapping gently, and the faint sound of wind and thunder slowly came out, shocking people. Looking at the purple gold wings behind Ziyan, He Qing said excitedly, "The wings of the phoenix, the body of the ancient dragon." After a while, he finally knelt down in the sky and said respectfully, "Welcome to the Dragon Emperor." Following He Qing, the strong men of Donglong Island also knelt down quickly, and their uniform cheers resounded across the sky. Xia Sha and Qing Wei and other strong men of Sanlong Island, when they saw this scene, their expressions changed slightly. They are not from Donglong Island. Because of their long-term obedience to the three Dragon Kings, although they feel the pressure from their bloodline at this moment, they did not go to see and worship like He Qing and others. At this moment, He Qing turned his head abruptly and shouted angrily at Qing Wei and the others, "Qing Wei, you are so courageous, you didn't kneel when you saw the Dragon Emperor." After listening to He Qing's anger, Xia Sha and Qing Wei Gan screamed. Under the gaze of Ziyan's purple-gold eyes in the distance, the blood in their bodies seemed to be suppressed. This kind of coercion is far beyond the three Dragon Kings. Xia Sha and the two looked at each other and bit the bullet and said, "I have seen Lord Dragon King, but we belong to Lord Dragon King. If we have time, we will come to see Lord Dragon King again in the future." As soon as the voice fell, they did not dare to stay any longer, and their stature quickly retreated. Asshole! Seeing these people turn around and ran away, He Qing was furious, just about to chase, but Ziyan waved her hand. The purple gold wings behind him changed for a while, and appeared in front of Xiao Yan like a ghost. Looking at the latter's bloodshot eyes and almost stiff palms, Ziyan's purple gold eyes finally fluctuated a little. "Let's rest first, thank you for your hard work." The jade hand gently tapped Xiao Yan's forehead, and a rich purple gold light followed Ziyan's fingertips and quickly invaded Xiao Yan's body. In a blink of an eye, Xiao Yan's body was wrapped in a purple gold light, and his bloodshot eyes gradually closed. Upon seeing this, He Qing hurriedly rushed forward and handed over his hand. "Master Dragon Emperor, thanks to Xiao Yan's sleepless sleep, the dragon and phoenix crystal layer in your body was dissolved." Ziyan nodded slightly. "I know that behind him, his personality seems to be very different. In the faint coldness, there is a noble aura comparable to heaven and earth." Under this breath, even He Qing didn't dare to treat him as a naughty little girl anymore, but recognized him as the new Dragon Emperor of the Taishu Gulong clan. Ziyan said softly, "Let him take a good rest, and leave the matter of Dragon Island to me." Hearing this, He Qing quickly bowed in response, stepped forward to help Xiao Yan, and quickly retreated with him. As He Qing and the others left, the wings behind Ziyan shook slightly, and the delicate body appeared in the sky like a teleportation. She looked down at all the battle circles condescendingly, and the rich purple and gold light continued to diffuse from her body like water waves, and immediately turned into rain and dew, pouring into every corner of Gulong Island. This is such a strong blood pressure, even the three Dragon Kings have never possessed it. Is it the Dragon Emperor? Under the purple gold light, all the battles on Gulong Island came to an abrupt end. Everyone bathed in it, shocked, and felt the blood in their bodies quietly change color. Man Yen was shocked and looked at the sky. The dragon claws and dragon power on his body degenerated rapidly. In just a few breaths, he returned to the appearance of an ordinary old man, and even his breath was a lot sluggish. Zhanli stared at the shadow in the sky in a daze. Excitement surged to his heart, his legs bent, kneeling in the sky, old tears crisscrossed. Taishu Gulong clan, finally a Dragon Emperor has appeared. In an instant, in the sky, on the ground, and on the mountain peaks, all figures knelt down respectfully at this moment. Even now the weaker people of the other Mishima Islands, after persisting for a while, finally couldn't resist the pressure from their blood and souls, so they bent their legs and knelt on the ground. The Gulong clan, they don't kneel to the sky or to the ground. In their hearts, the true god is only the Dragon Emperor with a complete royal bloodline. Man Yen sighed softly. As soon as the Dragon Emperor comes out, the three Dragon Kings are really going to panic. As strong as him, although he did not kneel down at this moment, he still bent down far away to the shadow in the sky. Today's incident has been a complete failure. There is Donglong Island, where the Dragon Emperor sits, and the elites of the remaining three islands cannot contend with it. The man glanced at Xia Ao solemnly. It was impossible for ordinary people of the ancient Dragon clan not to dare to take action against the Dragon Emperor, because this was not only a gap in identity, but also rebellious. Just as the two sighed, far away in the sky, the voice of irresistible coercion sounded slowly, "The people of the 3 islands, leave Donglong Island within 10 breaths." Hearing this, Man Yen and Xia Dao smiled bitterly. The former looked at Zhu Li and said softly, "Donglong Island may be right, but the 3 dragon kings are not ambitious, and they will not let the dragon emperor easily unify the ancient dragon clan." After speaking, Man Yen didn't dare to stay too much. With a wave of his hand, he hurriedly flew towards the void space outside Donglong Island with many figures. The people of the other 2 islands were also scrambling to keep up, not daring to procrastinate at all. Just as the strong of the 3 islands swept into the void, Ziyan spoke faintly again, "When I go back, tell the 3 dragon kings that my Taishu ancient dragon clan has only the dragon emperor, and there is no dragon king. The emperor will personally take back a trace of their royal blood." These words fell into the ears of Man Yen and others, causing their bodies to tremble for a while. At the same time, Xiaoyan's consciousness was floating in a purple and gold light, and a cold breath permeated from the light, and then quietly merged into his consciousness. After a long time, the purple gold light finally began to fade slightly until it completely dissipated. In the spacious room, a figure lay quietly in the mottled sun. At a certain moment, the figure's closed eyes suddenly trembled slightly, and then he opened his eyes with some difficulty. For an instant, the dazzling sunlight frowned Xiaoyan's brows slightly, and he shook his head. The tumbling memories in his mind suddenly surged like a tide, causing his head to ache faintly. Xiaoyan sat up slowly from the bed and murmured, "Isn't it refining the dragon phoenix crystal layer for Ziyan? How could it appear here? And Gulong Island is under attack." Ziyan, thinking of this, Xiaoyan was taken aback suddenly, pressing his palms on the bed, just about to sit up, only to hear a click. The hard edge of the bed was actually pressed into a piece of powder by him. At the moment, Xiaoyan was taken aback and looked at his hands in a daze. At this moment, he realized that his physical strength had suddenly increased a lot. "What's going on?" Frowning slightly, Xiaoyan lifted up his sleeves, only to find that there was a faint purple-gold color under his skin, which looked like metal, giving people a sense of indestructibility. Just as Xiaoyan was at a loss for the changes in his body, the closed door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and then 2 figures walked in quickly. Seeing Xiaoyan who had awakened on the bed, he smiled happily and said, "Brother Xiaoyan, you are awake." Looking at the old man and He Qing who pushed the door in, Xiaoyan quickly raised his fists at the 2 of them and said, "Elder Zhili." Upon seeing this, Elder Zhili waved his hand and said with a smile, "Brother Xiaoyan, don't be polite. You have a great kindness to my Taishu Gulong clan. We can't afford this gift." Hearing this, Xiaoyan's heart moved, and she hurriedly said, "Ziyan, did you succeed?" Zhanli smiled and nodded. "Anyone can see his joy now." Xiaoyan glanced at him, and said in a daze, "Where's Ziyan?" Zhanli heard the sound and responded with a smile, "The original fruit of the dragon phoenix in the body of the dragon emperor has not yet been fully absorbed. After the criminals are defeated that day, they will retreat again. I am afraid it will take a long time." Hearing this, Xiaoyan nodded, slightly disappointed. "I'm always a little relieved that I haven't seen that girl." The palm of his hand gently rubbed his arm, and after a while, Xiaoyan suddenly hesitated and said, "There seems to be some change in me." Zhanli chuckled and said, "Brother Xiaoyan found out. This was done by the Dragon Emperor. He injected a trace of the Dragon Emperor's power into your body and activated the Cologne blood essence you took that day, which caused your physical body to be greatly enhanced. Your current physical strength is not inferior to some 8th-order warcraft." As soon as these words came out, a trace of surprise flashed in Xiaoyan's eyes. No wonder he feels a little wrong, it turns out that his body is so much stronger. Zhanli glanced at Xiaoyan's expression and said mysteriously, "The power of the Dragon Emperor is not as simple as you think. You try to mobilize the strange power in your body to see what happens." Hearing this, Xiaoyan nodded slightly, then closed his eyes, settled his mind, and quickly stimulated the strange energy under his flesh and blood. With this surge of energy, Xiaoyan's body suddenly felt sour and itchy, as if his whole body was being bitten by countless ants. This change shocked him, and he quickly opened his eyes. but was shocked to see that countless purple and gold dragon scales appeared on the rest of his body except for his head. These dragon scales are attached to Xiao Yan's body, like iron armor, giving people an indestructible feeling. Looking at Xiao Yan with a surprised face, Zhanli slowly said with his beard on his back, "This is Long Linii, a defensive skill that all people of the Taishu ancient dragon clan possess, but your kind is not an ordinary dragon scale suit, but the highest level of dragon and phoenix bone armor." He Qing on the side smiled and said, "Hee, this dragon phoenix bone armor is a good thing. With it and your own strength, even if you receive a punch from the 9 heavens of the Soul Hall, it's just a small injury." There was a hint of envy in his tone. As a member of the Taishu ancient dragon clan, he naturally knows this dragon and phoenix bone armor that exists in ancient books very well. Hearing this, Xiao Yan nodded and shook his palms curiously. The terrifying sense of power became clearer in his heart. "It really is a good thing," Candlely said with a smile. "This dragon emperor bone armor is usually hidden under your skin. As long as you urge it, it will appear immediately." Hearing this, Xiao Yan nodded, and as soon as his mind moved, the purple gold scales on his skin squirmed quickly, and then disappeared in a cold feeling. After repeatedly manipulating the appearance and concealment of the Dragon Emperor's bone armor several times, Xiao Yan put it away contentedly, and then asked with some confusion, "By the way, where is Qinglin?" Hearing the sound, Zhanli smiled and told Qinglin's situation that it turns out that the soul in Qinglin's body is the most fierce 9-headed heavenly snake among the ancient heavenly snakes. This beast is extremely fierce. Even if Qinglin can now control it with the blue snake Sanhua pupil, as the 9-headed heavenly snake's ability gradually recovers, it will inevitably devour its lord and control him. Therefore, Candlely asked Qinglin to practice in the tomb of the ancient dragon, which is the resting place of the ancient dragons of the ages. The dragon aura is extremely vigorous, enough to suppress the soul of the 9-headed heavenly snake, and then completely refine it. With the green scales of the 3 flower pupils of the blue snake, she can easily gain the soul power of the 9-headed heavenly snake, and her strength will also increase by leaps and bounds at that time. After listening to Zhanli's narration, Xiao Yan nodded silently. Since Qinglin was still in cultivation, it was not easy for him to leave alone, so he whispered softly, "In that case, then I will stay on Gulong Island for a while. By the way, Elder Zhanli, is there a place where thunder gathers in the void outside Donglong Island?" After listening to Xiao Yan's words, Zhanli was startled, and then whispered softly, "In the void space near Donglong Island, there is indeed a place where thunder gathers." Hearing this, Xiao Yan smiled excitedly, and then under the leadership of He Qing, Xiao Yan came to the Void Thunder Pool. This place is the cultivation place of the Taishu Gulong clan, and it is a naturally formed area. With this thunder pool, Xiao Yan could not only completely repair the wounds of the heavenly demon puppets, but might also allow the remaining 10 earth demon puppets to evolve into heavenly demon puppets. That if this is the case, he will have 11 heavenly demon puppets equivalent to the powerful Dozuan in his hands, and the lineup is extremely terrifying. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan couldn't wait to smile at He Qing. "Brother He Qing, I'm going in first, and I'll send a signal if something happens." Seeing Xiao Yan's anxious appearance, He Qing responded, "I will stay outside the thunder pool during this period of time. If you encounter any changes, send me a signal and I will go in to save you." Xiao Yan handed over his hand and smiled, "Then trouble brother He Qing." After speaking, as soon as he stepped on his toes, the void figure swept out like a meteor, and the strange fire in his body rose at this moment, wrapping all his body. When Xiao Yan rushed into the thunder pool, many thunderbolts bombarded him like enraged silver snakes in an instant. However, after these thunderbolts came into contact with the strange fire on his body, they were annihilated, invisible like dissipated snowflakes in bursts of subtle dull sounds. Although the power of thunder is powerful, it is still a lot worse in the face of the strange fire filled with the power of destruction, and this is the capital for Xiao Yan to dare to break into the thunder pool alone. Seeing that Xiao Yan fell into the thunder pool without accident, He Qing breathed a sigh of relief, and slowly descended in the void with his feet on a plate, staring closely at the thunder pool. Under the protection of the alien fire, the surrounding thunder seemed to be afraid of the power of the alien fire, and did not launch a crazy attack on Xiao Yan. seeing that Lei Qi did not riot because of his entry, Xiao Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Then he sensed the power of the thunder around him, hesitated for a while, and then stepped out, heading towards the depths of Lei Qi. After walking nearly 100 feet or so in this way, he stopped. The power of thunder here is also quite strong, and faintly, it gives Xiao Yan a sense of oppression that if he continues to go deeper, the power of thunder will surely become more terrifying, even if he is guarded by a different fire. I am afraid he will be blasted into scum in an instant, right here. With a decision in his heart, Xiao Yan no longer hesitated. He sat cross-legged here. After calming down a little, he waved his palm, and the riddled heavenly demon puppet that was blasted by the Tianming sect Dozuan flashed out. Today's Tianxiangqi is covered with depressions all over his body, and even his skin has a tendency to crack. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yan waved his sleeve robe, and a soft force pushed the heavenly demon Kuei in front of him to the place where the power of thunder was strong. As soon as the heavenly demon Kuei flew out, the power of thunder that permeated the surroundings turned violently as if under some kind of traction, and then frantically blasted towards the heavenly demon Kuei. However, when these seemingly violent thunderbolts came into contact with Tianxiangqui's body, they disappeared in an instant like water that met a sponge. The thunder danced wildly in the thunder pool, and huge thunder of nearly 10 feet or even dozens of feet all rioted presumptuously at this moment, with a loud rumbling noise, and the sky was overwhelming towards the sky demon Kuei, and under the roar of so much thunder, the dark golden body of Tianxiangqi, which was originally dim, gradually became brighter again at a rather slow speed, and some depressions were slowly repaired, but the speed of repair was very slow. Looking at the heavenly demon Kuei wrapped in thunder, Xiao Yan sighed. At this rate, it will take half a month to completely repair it. With a thought in his heart, the 10 earth demon puppets obtained by Xiao Yan from the ruins of Doshing emerged. He licked his lips and murmured, I wonder if these earth demon puppets can be strengthened to the realm of heaven demon puppets here. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan's heart instantly became hot, and this kind of improvement in strength was too tempting. The 10 puppets were surrounded in a circle and wrapped in it. The violent thunder outside the circle danced frantically, and the stout thunderbolts bombarded the 11 puppets continuously. This seemingly terrifying attack did not affect the puppets in the slightest, but made their bodies brighter and brighter. Time is like flowing water, and half a month has quietly passed away. There was a change in Tianxiangqi, and a crack opened on his dark golden skin. Through the gap, flickering silver thunder and lightning could be vaguely seen. Xiao Yan shook his head and said, the power of thunder absorbed is too much. Has it reached its limit? This heavenly demon Kuei was made from the remains of the 7-star Dozong powerhouse. It used to be unattainable to Xiao Yan, but now it is just an ordinary product to him. However, with this material, it is incredible to be able to match the power of the 5-star Dozuan. With regret in his heart, Xiao Yan included the sky demon Kuei that had reached saturation in the ring, and then turned his gaze to the other 10 earth demon Kuei. After half a month of absorption, small golden spots began to appear on the bright silver bodies of these earth demon Kuei. Xiao Yan, who had experience, naturally understood that when the golden spots completely covered the body of the earth demon Kuei, he could evolve into a real heaven demon Kuei. Xiao Yan secretly said in his heart, if the giant heavenly demon Kuei forms in formation, it should be able to make my heavenly demon Kuei skyrocket to the strength of the 8-star Dozuan. At that time, even if I meet the 9 heavens again, I can rely on puppets to contend with it. But as he slowly advanced, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged in the center of the puppet like an old monk, with a solemn expression on his face. Strange energy fluctuations rippled slowly all over him. The surrounding thunder pond also made a strange sound at this time, and a stream of unusually majestic violent energy turned into a substantial horse chain, circled around Xiao Yan, and then frantically exposed his body. Away. Facing these unusually violent energies, Xiao Yan remained motionless, his body like a bottomless pit, allowing the crazy infusion of vigorous energy. As more and more energy poured in, Xiao Yan's head also condensed a huge thunder vortex with a foot of 100 feet. As the vortex rotated at high speed, terrifying energy surged frantically. I don't know how long this thunder vortex lasted, and at a certain moment, there were finally signs of gradual weakening. Xiao Yan's whole body was already surrounded by bright thunder, and from a distance, like the arrival of the god of thunder, it was filled with a kind of palpitating coercion. Slowly, the thunder vortex became weaker and weaker, and in the end, it finally stopped abruptly and slowly dissipated. A breath of electric light spat out along Xiao Yan's throat. At this moment, the beating arc can still be seen on his face and robe. Feeling the exponential increase in power, Xiao Yan raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. Are you 5-star Dozuan? Unexpectedly, he was successfully promoted in the thunder pool. This is really a blessed place that if you use the 3 profound changes of Tianhua, your strength should be able to reach the 7-star Dozuan, and when you are with the 9 heavens. I join forces with the puppet, maybe I can kill it. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered fiercely, and he immediately raised his head and looked at the 10 puppets around him. At this moment, a touch of joy suddenly appeared on his face. That I saw the current 10 earth demon Kuei, their bodies have been completely transformed into a golden color. Obviously, they have successfully evolved to the sky demon Kuei. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan couldn't help laughing, then stood up and stretched out. Just as he was about to put away the 10 heavenly demon Kuei, his heart suddenly moved. Then he turned his head abruptly and looked straight into the depths of the thunder pond, but he didn't find anything. That he murmured to himself, there has just been an extremely violent energy fluctuation there. Is the induction wrong? However, as soon as his voice fell, an invisible strong wind suddenly burst out from the depths of the thunder pool. Where this strong wind passed, the violent thunder was annihilated almost instantly. Looking at this scene, Xiao Yan was surprised. What a terrifying wind. Just when Xiao Yan's scalp was numb, he saw an extremely embarrassed figure emerging from the area torn apart by the strong wind. Behind him, more than a dozen dark, chilling huge thunder followed like a black dragon. At the moment, Xiao Yan panicked in his heart, put away the 10 heavenly demon puppets like lightning, without saying a word, turned around and fled towards the thunder pool. That he didn't know the embarrassed figure being chased by the thunder, and he didn't want to know it. That guy was obviously not a fuel-saving lamp, and the dark thunder behind him was not a good thing. Xiao Yan understood that with his strength, as long as the dark thunder was contaminated, he would be blasted with no scum left. Xiao Yan exerted his speed to the extreme, and pieces of afterimages continued to appear behind him, but what made him miserable was that the people behind him seemed to have discovered him. Not only did they not turn to escape, but they also chased him straight. Feeling the terrifying pressure on his face, Xiao Yan couldn't help but burst into a foul language. Damn it, I don't have the ability to help you. This person obviously wanted to find a helper to resist the black thunder together, but he looked up to Xiao Yan a little bit. Just as Xiao Yan buried his head and ran wildly, a sound of breaking wind suddenly exploded in his ears. My friend. As soon as the figure said a word, he said in a daze, 5-star Dozuan, dare to come to the void thunder pool with this strength, is there any mistake? After hearing this, Xiao Yan vomited blood several times. He happened to be practicing well. As a result, this guy caused a lot of trouble and discriminated against his strength. The thought fell, and the silver light flickered on the soles of Xiao Yan's feet, bursting out with all his strength. Taking advantage of a small gap, he glanced at the figure next to him. This person looked quite old, his head was full of silver silk, and most of his robe was rotten. He was obviously destroyed by thunder, but what shocked Xiao Yan was that although this old guy looked embarrassed, he still gave people a sense of energy, as if the dark thunder that destroyed the sky and the earth behind him did not cause him the slightest harm. However, Xiao Yan was really not interested in who this expert was sacred, because he felt that the dark thunder behind him seemed to be getting closer and closer to him. The old man screamed strangely at the moment, is there any mistake? The speed of these ghosts is too fast. Boy, the old man is one step ahead. With a twist in the space in front of him, the old guy got in, and when he reappeared, he was thousands of miles away. Upon seeing this, Xiao Yan cursed angrily, old bastard. Immediately he gritted his teeth, his back flashed, and his bone wings instantly extended out. Under a violent instigation, Xiao Yan's speed suddenly skyrocketed, and he appeared in a distant place in a few flashes, and then continued to rush wildly without looking back, using his speed to the extreme along the way. Xiao Yan gradually got rid of the dark thunder. He looked up and found that the end of the thunder pool was already in front of him, so his speed accelerated again, and finally rushed out of the land of thunder like a fast wind. Xiao Yan gasped for breath, with fear still remaining on his face. It's hard to imagine what a miserable ending it would be if it was hit by those dark thunder. After calming down for a while, Xiaoyan secretly said in his heart, it seems that there must be something terrible in the depths of this void thunder pool, otherwise, the old guy just now would not be jumping up and down. As soon as the voice fell, a voice full of anger exploded strangely in his ears. Is there any mistake? Just relying on the things here will make the old man so embarrassed. If it weren't for the fear that after the shot, it would cause riots in this thunder pool, the old man would have destroyed those things a long time ago. Hearing the sound, Xiaoyan hurriedly raised his head, but saw the embarrassed old man he had encountered before, staring at him with his eyes suspended in front of him. Seeing this scene, Xiaoyan couldn't help pulling the corners of his mouth, but because of the opponent's terrifying strength, he had to swallow the curse from the bottom of his heart and asked instead, "What are those things?" The old man curled his lips and said, "It's just a group of thunder monsters with a little spiritual wisdom." Hearing the sound, Xiaoyan frowned, but he was not surprised. After the alien fire has existed for a long time, it will also have its own spiritual wisdom. The terrain here is quite strange. Thunder has condensed for countless years, and it is not surprising that some strange creatures have been born. His gaze swept over the embarrassed old man, but Xiaoyan's heart made a lot of waves. The strength of this old guy may have reached the same level as the teacher's super powerhouse. However, the character of the old man seemed a little difficult to compliment, and he almost killed him. At this moment, the old man rubbed his hands, and suddenly said with a smile, "Boy, I think although your strength is not very good, you are very fast. That I wanted to help you, but I didn't expect you to escape by yourself." Xiaoyan responded, "It's just a fluke." He cursed secretly in his heart, who knows if what this old guy said is true or false. The old man stroked his beard and smiled, "Boy, those creatures are extremely strange. They are born from the power of thunder and can be directly absorbed. If they are used for cultivation, they are a great tonic. That I think your speed is good. Why don't we join forces to play in the depths of the thunder pool?" When Xiaoyan heard the sound, he suddenly showed an awkward and polite smile, and quickly shook his head, but secretly scolded in his heart, "Are you kidding me? You are close to that kind of black thunder, and you can kill him with just one shot. That I didn't know it was okay before, but now that I know it, he won't set foot in it again if he is killed. Besides, this old guy is unreliable at first glance, and he doesn't want to cause trouble." Upon seeing this, the old man curled his lips and said, "Is there any mistake? Young people are getting less and less courageous now, but meeting each other is fate. The old man's surname is Fate. If you want to come to you, you kid doesn't know the old man's name. What's your last name?" Xiaoyan thought for a while. He had indeed never heard of this number one super powerhouse. It seemed that he was indeed a hermit expert in Zhongzhou. Seeing that Xiaoyan really didn't know him, the old man surnamed Xiao sighed for a while, "Ignorant Junior." At this moment, a figure accompanied by a loud and clear voice suddenly swept from a distance, "Brother Xiaoyan, are you okay?" Looking at the passing figure, the old man was startled. It was actually a person from Taishu Gulong. He immediately glanced at Xiaoyan in surprise, as if wondering why the latter, an ordinary human being, had anything to do with Taishu Gulong. "Forget it, the old man is leaving first. Your kid is doing okay, but he is still much worse than the old man, so work hard." The old man seemed unwilling to listen to other people, so he waved his hand at Xiaoyan, and before he could speak, there was a spatial fluctuation in front of him, and he quickly disappeared. Seeing the old man leaving so quickly, Xiaoyan was a little helpless, and could only turn his head and look at He Qing, who was getting closer and closer. Seeing Xiaoyan safe and sound, He Qing breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, you have the dragon seal left by the Dragon Emperor in your body, otherwise it's really hard to find." Xiaoyan smiled and did not elaborate on what happened in the thunder pool, but waved his hand and said, "I met a little accident in the thunder pool, so I came out first, and the cultivation is almost complete. Let's go back." Hearing this, He Qing nodded quickly, "Okay, I'm almost out of the bird when I stay here." Immediately, his whole body was full of light, and he turned into that huge black dragon again. Upon seeing this, Xiaoyan's body swayed and jumped on his back. As a dragon chant resounded, the dragon rushed out like lightning, and disappeared at the end of the void in a blink of an eye. Not long after Xiao Yan and He Qing left, the space was turbulent again, and an old figure slowly emerged. It was the old man surnamed Chen who had been there before. He frowned slightly, staring in the direction where Xiao Yan disappeared, as if contemplating. After a while, he muttered to himself suspiciously, "Why is the name Xiao Yan so familiar? And this old man is Mang Tianji, the dean of Canaan College." At the same time, He Qing also returned to Donglong Island with Xiao Yan. At this moment, Elder Zhanli's smiling voice suddenly came, "Brother Xiao Yan, you are finally back. The Void Thunder Pool is too dangerous. I am really worried about what accidents will happen to you there." Xiao Yan bowed his hand to Zhanli and said, "Thank you, Elder Zhanli, for remembering to hang up." Just as Xiao Yan and Zhanli were talking, a voice of joy came from below, "Master Xiao Yan." Immediately a touch of cyan shadow flashed by, and she stood in front of everyone pretty and alive. Looking at the pretty girl in front of him, Xiao Yan said in surprise, "Qinglin, are you out of the customs?" Qinglin nodded and said softly, "Thanks to the dragon aura in the dragon tomb, I finally refined the soul of the nine-headed heavenly snake." Hearing the sound, the candle on the side whispered softly, "The soul of the nine-headed heavenly snake in Qinglin's body has not been completely refined, but after this battle, he will hardly become a climate, and sooner or later he will be assimilated by Qinglin." After hearing this, Xiao Yan's gaze swept over Qinglin, and his brows suddenly raised. He found that Qinglin's aura was stronger than him now, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Six-star Dozuan." Hearing this, Qinglin nodded, looking at Xiao Yan's somewhat helpless face. He couldn't help but smile. Candle on the side was stroking his beard and said with a smile, "Don't be depressed, the blue snake Sanhua pupil is the #1 strange pupil in the world. I am afraid that she is the only one in the entire continent who owns it, and the soul of the nine-headed heavenly snake is the only one in the world. The two are indispensable, otherwise, Qinglin's strength cannot skyrocket wildly, and there is only one such opportunity." After listening to these words, Xiao Yan nodded helplessly. He naturally knew that such a skyrocketing strength required many extremely demanding conditions, but seeing this girl soaring from 1-star to 6-star Dozuan like a leap, anyone would be a little unbalanced. Xiao Yan sighed, "With Qinglin's current strength, coupled with the weirdness of the Bish Sanhuating, I am afraid that even the 8-star Dozuan can fight against one of them, and the sealing ability of the Bish Sanhuating must be greatly strengthened. Maybe now she can seal the 7-star Dozuan. The Snake Clan powerhouse, these pupil techniques are worthy of being the world's #1 strange pupil, it's really terrifying." After the thought fell, Xiao Yan turned his words around again, and said, "Elder Zhanli, has Ziyan still not left the customs?" Hearing this, Zhanli frowned slightly, and said in a deep voice, "Not yet, Lord Longhuang will take a long time this time. Even the old man is not sure when he will leave the customs." Xiao Yan heard the sound, nodded silently, and said in a deep voice, "In that case, it's not convenient for me to stay for a long time. This time I've been out for too long. If I don't go back, the teacher might be worried." Seeing Xiao Yan's intention to leave, Zhu Li did not stop him. After all, the atmosphere on Donglong Island is tense now, and it is necessary to guard against the invasion of the 3 Dragon Islands at all times. It is not safe for Xiao Yan to stay here all the time, therefore, after thinking for a while, Zhanli nodded and said, "Okay." After speaking, Zhanli took out a rather exquisite silver jade chain from the receiving ring, handed it to Xiao Yan, and said with a smile, "Brother Xiao Yan, you should put away this space jade chain. If you want to come to my Donglong Island in the future, crush it to pieces, and the power of space inside will automatically form a channel to teleport you over." In this regard, Xiao Yan did not refuse. He stretched out his hand to pick it up, and immediately handed over to Elder Zhili and said, "In that case, then Xiao Yan will leave. If anything happens in the future, as long as I can do it, I will try my best to help." Elder Zhanli smiled slightly and said, "I will take you back to Xingxiao Pavilion, and I will also say hello to Yaochen instead of me." Yan Yan nodded to He Qing. Upon seeing this, He Qing on the side waved his palm, tore a crack in the space, and said with a smile, "Brother Xiao Yan, please." Xiao Yan once again raised his fist towards Zhanli, and then stepped in. After that, Qinglin and Heiqing followed closely, leading all three of them into the crack in the space, before slowly dissipating. In the lush green mountains, occasionally a low roar of beasts resounded, but as the roar spread, a gap suddenly opened in the space, and immediately three figures slowly emerged from it. It was Xiao Yan and the three of them who came out of Donglong Island. Xiao Yan, who stepped out of the space, looked at the endless mountains and the earth, then looked up at the blue sky, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Compared with the dark and endless void space, this real continent is more comfortable. Heiqing looked around, identified the direction, and said to Xiao Yan, "Brother Xiao Yan, go north from here, and you will be able to reach Xingxue Pavilion in less than half a day. Because of the current affairs in the clan, I have to go back quickly, so I can't personally send you two to the Star Fall Pavilion." Hearing this, Xiao Yan smiled slightly, and said to Heiqing with a fist, "Brother Heiqing is in trouble." Heiqing patted his chest and laughed out boldly, "When the major events in the clan are stable, I can come out at any time. Then I will meet the people of the Soul Hall again, and I will help you clean them up." Xiao Yan nodded slightly after listening. Heiqing was thick and thin, and he had a straightforward personality. He was a very suitable friend to make. Heiqing waved his hand at Xiao Yan, then didn't talk nonsense, tore through the space again, and got in as soon as his figure moved. Seeing Heiqing leaving, Xiao Yan smiled and whispered to Qinglin, "Let's go." His figure flashed and flew towards the northern sky, followed by the green scales.